You might think memory loss is just a part of aging. But what if it isn't? What if the real culprit is sitting quietly in your bathroom cabinet right now? Imagine this. You wake up one morning, shuffle into the kitchen like always, and suddenly, the coffee pot looks like it belongs to someone else. You hesitate, not from sleepiness, but from something deeper, something unsettling. That's how it begins for so many older adults. Not with forgetting names or birthdays, but with a shift, a fog, a moment of confusion that lingers. And here's the scary truth. Some medications, especially after 60, don't just help you sleep or ease pain. They can secretly interfere with your brain's natural chemistry. Little by little, they blur your thinking, dampen your joy, and unravel the sharpness that makes you feel like you. Memory loss isn't always loud. Sometimes it's silent, a whisper, a vanishing thread. And it doesn't always come from age. Often, it comes from the medicine cabinet. Recent studies show that certain medications, many prescribed to seniors, can block or disrupt brain chemicals tied to memory, clarity, and even your emotional resilience. In this video, we'll walk together through 8 common medications that may be quietly robbing you of your sharpness. For each one, I'll explain how it works, what warning signs to look for, and what smarter, safer alternatives you can ask your doctor about. And I promise, about halfway through, I'll reveal one medication that even many doctors hesitate to talk about. It might just be the most dangerous pill on this list. Speech balloon if you care about protecting your memory, your independence, and your ability to stay fully present with the people you love. Then please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment below, and subscribe to our channel, Senior Health Tips. That one small click helps us keep sharing this life-changing content with more families. Warning, and if you're already feeling curious or wondering about your own medications, don't skip ahead. In just a few minutes, I'll uncover a pill that's still in millions of homes and may be more dangerous than anyone realized. Backhand index pointing right, let's begin with the first medication. It promises calm, but it may be slowly dimming the very spark that makes you you. And chances are, someone you know is taking it right now. It promises calm, but may be slowly dimming your inner light. 1. Aging and brain health. What we now know. For decades, most people believed that memory loss was simply part of getting old, like gray hair or wrinkles. But science is painting a very different picture. What if memory loss wasn't a guarantee of aging, but a sign that something deeper is off balance? Imagine your brain as a library. Over the years, it collects stories, memories, lessons. But what happens when the lights begin to dim? Not because the books are gone, but because the wiring in the ceiling is failing. Research now shows that aging doesn't automatically mean cognitive decline. Instead, memory issues are more often the result of preventable factors, like poor diet, lack of sleep, chronic stress, or certain medications we'll talk about shortly. Many older adults actually retain, or even improve, specific brain functions like vocabulary, emotional intelligence, and problem solving, when given the right conditions. Let's pause here. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why? Or blanked on the name of someone you've known for years? These little lapses can feel terrifying, but they're not always signs of something serious. In fact, they're often wake-up calls, reminders that your brain needs attention, the same way your body does after a long walk. Why this matters for seniors in America. In the U.S., nearly 1 in 3 adults over 60 worries about memory loss. But the real danger isn't just forgetting where you placed your keys. It's how easily certain habits or medications can accelerate what could have been a much slower, gentler process. And that brings us to the critical question, what's damaging our brain without us even knowing? Let's break it down. What causes memory decline in older adults? Nutrient deficiencies, especially vitamin B12, poor sleep or sleep apnea, chronic stress or depression, social isolation, lack of mental stimulation. undiagnosed chronic conditions like high blood pressure, and yes, medications. Many seniors take 5 or more prescriptions daily. Some are necessary, others not so much, and a handful quietly eroding brain function every single day. Real story, Robert's awakening. Robert, a 72-year-old retired teacher from Michigan, noticed he was forgetting his students' names when bumping into them in the grocery store. He thought it was aging. But after visiting a neurologist, it turned out the acid reflux medication he had taken daily for 6 years was impacting his memory. Once it was adjusted, and he began a B12 rich diet, he felt sharper within weeks. This is not a miracle. It's biology. But here's the part that most people miss. You didn't misplace your memory. Something, maybe even something you trust, is slowly turning the lights off in that library of yours. And you deserve to know what it is before it shuts the door for good. Quick tip. If you or your loved one takes any long-term medication, ask this one simple question at your next appointment. Is this still the best option for me at my age? Pushpin coming up next. In the next part, we'll pull back the curtain on one of the most common daily habits that feels helpful, but maybe one of the first things silently draining your brain. The hidden brain bandits you're inviting into your life without realizing it. You may not see them, but they're quietly stealing your sharpness one day at a time. 2. The hidden triggers behind memory loss. Memory loss doesn't always come from where we expect it. While most people focus on aging or diseases like Alzheimer's, there are hidden culprits sneaking into our daily routines. Think of them like termites. You don't see them, you barely feel them, but over time, they eat away at the very foundation of your brain's clarity. 1. Poor sleep. Imagine trying to file paperwork in a dark room with music blasting. That's your brain on sleep deprivation. Without deep sleep, your brain can't process or store memories properly. And sadly, many seniors deal with interrupted sleep from pain, bathroom trips, or anxiety. What you can do: keep a bedtime routine, even on weekends. Avoid screens after dinner, use soft lighting. Talk to your doctor about possible sleep apnea, especially if you snore or wake tired. 2. Chronic stress. Stress is like background noise that never goes away. And when cortisol stays high, it damages the hippocampus, your brain's memory control center. Many older adults silently carry stress from health fears, financial worries, or caregiving burdens. A real story. One viewer, after her husband passed, felt her mind was stuck in fog. It wasn't dementia, it was grief. With therapy, morning walks, and reconnecting with her church group, her clarity returned. 3. Nutrient deficiencies. Vitamin B12 is like spark plugs for your neurons. Without it, your brain can stall. Deficiency is common in older adults, especially those on acid reducers. Simple fix. Ask your doctor to check your B12. Sublingual sprays or shots work best if your stomach has trouble absorbing it. 4. Social isolation. Loneliness isn't just sad, it's toxic. Your brain is a social organ. Without regular connection, neurons shrink. Conversation, laughter, even eye contact helps preserve mental sharpness. Tip: make it a goal to talk to one new person each week. Join a walking group, a book club, or call an old friend. And if you've ever found yourself rereading the same line in a book, or searching for a word that's always on the tip of your tongue, know this: it might not be age. It might be one of these triggers, quietly dulling your sharpness day by day. But the good news? You can take control before it becomes something permanent. Pushpin up next. Let's dive into the first medication that might be draining your brain, and it's probably sitting in your medicine cabinet right now. Let's dive into the first medication that might be draining your brain, and it's probably sitting in your medicine cabinet right now. 3. Medication number 1. The acid reducers you thought were harmless. If you've ever had heartburn, you've probably taken something like this. Acid reducers, especially proton pump inhibitors, PPIs, promise fast relief. But used too long, they can quietly rob your brain of essential nutrients. If you've ever had heartburn, you've probably taken something like this. They're in every drugstore aisle, little boxes promising quick relief after a heavy meal or a spicy dish. And for a while, they seem like a miracle. But over time, what they're doing inside your body isn't so kind. The problem: these medications suppress stomach acid, great for reflux, but bad for absorbing B12, magnesium, and calcium. They also alter gut bacteria, which directly impacts brain health through the gut-brain axis. If your mornings feel foggy, or you reread the same page twice, don't brush it off. It could be more than just a bad night's sleep. Acid reducers, often taken daily without a second thought, may be part of the problem. Here's the twist: stomach acid isn't just about digestion. It's also how your body unlocks key nutrients like B12, magnesium, and calcium. Without enough acid, your brain may slowly be starved of what it needs to stay alert, focused, and sharp. Even more concerning, these medications change your gut microbiome, the healthy bacteria that produce mood-stabilizing and memory-supporting compounds. When your gut is out of balance, your brain fogs over. You feel it as forgetfulness, sluggish thoughts, or losing your train of thought mid-sentence. Imagine trying to tune into a radio station, but the signal keeps cutting in and out. That's how many seniors describe their thinking after months or years on acid reducers. Ask yourself, are you taking one of these pills every morning just out of habit? If you are, your brain may be paying the price, quietly, slowly, invisibly. Real insight: one woman took PPIs for 5 years. Her reflux was gone, but her thinking felt slow, foggy. Blood tests revealed she had critically low B12. Once she switched to natural remedies and supplements, her clarity returned within weeks. What you can do: only use acid reducers short-term, unless prescribed otherwise. Try ginger tea, smaller meals, elevating your head during sleep. Always ask, is this pill still serving me, or just a habit? Pushpin up next. The next type of medication is even sneakier. It hides in treatments for everything from bladder control to motion sickness, and it quietly blocks the very chemical your brain uses to form memories. 4. Medication number 2. Anticholinergics, a quiet threat. If memory were a fire, then anticholinergic drugs are like a slow drizzle. You barely feel it, but it dampens everything. Until one day, the fire just doesn't light. These medications are often used to treat bladder problems, motion sickness, Parkinson's, and even seasonal allergies. But behind their usefulness lies a side effect that's especially dangerous for aging brains. They block acetylcholine, a key neurotransmitter tied to learning and memory. Why they're risky? Acetylcholine acts like a messenger between brain cells. When it's blocked, communication slows down. Thoughts take longer to process. Names slip away. Seniors who take these drugs often describe feeling spaced out, or like they're watching their life through a foggy window. Where they hide, you might find anticholinergics in over-the-counter sleep aids, allergy pills labeled PM, certain bladder control meds, older antidepressants, and anti-nausea drugs. They don't come with giant warning labels. Instead, they quietly work behind the scenes, pulling the rug out from under your cognition. Picture this. You're at a family dinner, and you suddenly forget your grandson's name. You laugh it off, but deep down, you feel a flicker of panic. What if it's starting? What if this is more than just a bad day? And maybe, just maybe, it's the pill you took the night before to help you sleep. What you can do: ask your doctor if any of your meds are anticholinergic. Consider safer alternatives, especially newer allergy or sleep meds. Stay curious. Read the labels, research the ingredients. Don't assume something is safe just because it's sold over the counter. Pushpin up next. We're just getting started. The next medication isn't just dulling memory. It may actually shrink parts of your brain if taken too long. And chances are, you or someone you love has taken it without a second thought. 5. Medication number 3, steroids and the brain fog effect. They fight inflammation, soothe pain, and help people breathe easier. But corticosteroids, especially when taken long-term, may come with a cost you didn't bargain for. They can cloud your mind and dim your clarity day by day. What's happening in the brain? Corticosteroids imitate the effects of cortisol, the body's natural stress hormone. When taken over long periods, they can throw your brain chemistry off balance. Cortisol in small bursts is helpful, but constant exposure? That can cause neurons to shrink, emotions to flatten, and your memory to weaken. Imagine this. You're standing in your kitchen, staring at the fridge, trying to remember what you came for. Or you find yourself rereading the same sentence over and over. That's not just aging. It could be the steroids quietly building up in your system. Common signs to watch for: difficulty concentrating or following conversations, mood swings, irritability, or low motivation, forgetfulness, even for simple things like appointments or phone numbers. Real story. A retired firefighter shared how he relied on steroids for chronic joint pain. After a year, he began feeling foggy, couldn't follow TV shows, and felt detached from family dinners. When his doctor reduced the dosage and introduced anti-inflammatory foods, the fog began to lift. What you can do: use corticosteroids for the shortest time possible. Ask about non-drug options: turmeric, omega-3s, gentle physical therapy. Monitor your mood and memory, and report changes to your doctor. Lightbulb, and hey, if this video is helping you see your health in a new light, please leave a comment and hit that subscribe button. It helps us keep going and create more helpful videos like this one. Pushpin up next. The next medication feels like a comforting blanket. It calms nerves and eases sleep. But over time, it may quietly pull you deeper into mental fog. And once you're in it, getting out isn't easy. 6. Medication number 4, Benzodiazepines, the tranquilizers that steal your spark. They're like a warm, heavy quilt draped across your nerves, soothing, comforting, silencing the static. But over time, that weight doesn't just calm you, it can smother your spark. These medications work by slowing brain activity. While that's helpful for panic or sleeplessness, repeated use in older adults often numbs more than just anxiety. It dulls the very essence of who you are. Imagine this. You wake up, the sun streaming through the window, but something feels off. You're alert, but not sharp. You know this house, these walls, but why did you come into this room? The moment slips through your fingers, like trying to hold water. Warning signs to watch: flatness in emotion, as if you're drifting without direction. Foggy memory, especially for recent conversations. Needing the pill just to feel normal again. A common story: one woman took a small dose after losing her husband. It helped at first, but within months, she stopped laughing at jokes. Forgot the names of birds she once fed every morning. With time, tea, and guided support, she slowly rediscovered her sparkle. Safer paths to consider: taper off carefully under medical guidance. Replace bedtime meds with calming music, chamomile, or guided breathing. Cognitive therapy or gentle stretching before sleep can work wonders. Pushpin next up. A pill that promises focus, but quietly steals your connection to the present. You won't believe how common it is. 7. Medication number 5. Focus pills that fade the mind. They sell clarity, energy, attention. But for aging brains, these pills are like plugging a delicate light bulb into a lightning bolt. It flashes bright, then burns out. Why they often backfire. Stimulants push your brain into overdrive. You feel wired, maybe even productive, but what follows is often a steep drop: fatigue, memory slips, and restlessness. You may think, I feel awake. Why do I keep forgetting where I put my keys? Or worse, I read the same paragraph 3 times, and it still doesn't stick. What happens with prolonged use? Disrupted sleep erodes your ability to store memories. Emotional swings become more intense. Brain pathways tied to memory may weaken or shrink. A familiar case, a retired engineer used them to regain mental sharpness. At first, it helped him feel like his younger self. But soon, he became irritable, scatterbrained, and emotionally drained. A shift to brain-healthy routines, word games, walking in nature, and daily hydration brought back his steadiness. What you can try instead: use under strict doctor monitoring, never casually. Add mindfulness, omega-3s, and deep breathing exercises to your daily rhythm. Prioritize routine, light exposure, and low caffeine mornings. Pushpin coming up, a nighttime remedy so common, it's hiding in your medicine drawer, and maybe quietly silencing your brain. Stop sign quick note. If you found this video helpful so far, or think someone you love needs to hear it, please comment below and subscribe. It gives us strength to keep sharing more life-changing tips. 8. Medication number 6. The allergy meds that rob or call. They sneak in under the guise of sleep aids or allergy relief. A single pill, a good night's rest, but what you wake up with is memory fog. Older antihistamines, especially those with PM labels, block acetylcholine, critical for learning and memory. That groggy feeling in the morning? It's not just sleep residue. It's your brain misfiring. You felt it. You step into the kitchen, stop, and ask yourself, wait, why am I here? Watch for these signs. Drowsiness even after a full night's sleep. Trouble recalling recent details, like why you picked up your phone. Slower thinking, especially in the morning. What can help? Switch to non-drowsy antihistamines. Ask your doctor. Use natural aids, HEPA filters, steam inhalation, or nettle tea. Avoid nighttime cold/allergy meds unless essential. Pushpin next, an old-school antidepressant still widely used. One that may flatten not just emotions, but your memory, too. 9. Medication number 7. Old antidepressants that drain mental energy. Once praised as a breakthrough, these tricyclic antidepressants are still prescribed, but they come with a cognitive toll. They don't just lift mood. They block chemicals your brain needs for sharp thinking. Over time, it's like turning down the volume on your own thoughts. A familiar scene. A retired teacher found herself rereading the same emails, forgetting former students' names, even struggling to complete sentences. When her medication changed, her clarity began to return, slowly but surely. Red flags to catch early. Repeating yourself in conversation. Struggling to follow simple instructions. A growing sense of mental numbness. Smarter approaches. Ask your doctor about newer antidepressants with fewer cognitive effects. Combine talk therapy or support circles with medication. Always taper slowly under medical guidance. Pushpin almost there. The last medication helps your heart, but might silently dim your brain's brightest lights. 10. Medication number 8. Cholesterol drugs that quiet the brain. Statins can save lives. They lower cholesterol, protect your heart, but too much reduction, and your brain might suffer the unintended cost. Your brain is made up of over 60% fat. Cholesterol isn't the enemy, it's a building block. Cut it too low, and it's like removing bricks from a wall. You weaken the structure. Real-life moment. A senior forgot her neighbor's name, then her granddaughter's favorite song. Once her statin dosage was adjusted and healthy fats were reintroduced, her spark returned. Signs to notice. Trouble with word retrieval. Brain fog that worsens after medication changes. Sluggish thinking, even with adequate sleep. Smart solutions. Track changes in memory in a small journal. Incorporate brain-fueling fats, avocados, chia seeds, olive oil. Revisit your medication plan with your doctor regularly. Final thoughts. This is about more than memory. This isn't just about pills. It's about protecting the pieces of you, your stories, your laughter, your connection to the people you love. Every medication has a purpose, but some, if unchecked, can slowly unravel your clarity, your joy, your spark. And too often, it happens quietly. So here's what I ask. If you've ever felt off or caught yourself forgetting too often, don't brush it off as aging. Ask questions. Reflect. Speak to your doctor. Because the more you know, the more power you have to choose wisely for your mind, your moments, and your future. Key takeaways to remember. Brain, always review your medications with a doctor, especially if memory changes. Green salad, feed your brain with good fats, water, rest, and oxygen. Person running male signs, stay mentally and physically active. Even 15 minutes a day makes a difference. Exclamation mark, don't self-medicate, especially with over-the-counter PM or allergy meds. Notebook, keep a memory journal. It helps track changes and spot patterns early. Handshake, never hesitate to ask for help. Early support prevents long-term damage. Speech balloon, if this video helped you, please leave a comment below. And if you know someone over 60 who could benefit, share this with them. Let's protect each other. Bell, subscribe to our channel, Senior Health Tips, for weekly advice to protect your brain, body, and independence. Thumbs up like this video if it brought you value, and please consider sharing it with a friend or loved one. Pushpin, and next time, discover 4 surprising daily habits that act like armor for your brain, especially after age 60. Trust me, you'll want to see this.